I'm Breelyn, and I will be speaking about the Affordable Care Act. So, Kelly Angard was once in a terrible situation. She possibly was not going to have health insurance. She is a 52-year-old self-employed photographer and artist who has gone through chemotherapy and surgery. And she, once again, is going through another round of chemotherapy. Her treatment with insurance per month is $16, but without insurance, it's about $5,200 per month. So without proper treatment, like Kelly could, in the next few months, her stage could be terminal. But thankfully, since the law in 2011 about Obamacare, Kelly couldn't be denied of her coverage because of her pre-existing condition. When she was first diagnosed, she was recently separated from her husband. She had been on his plan for a while, but she found herself conflicted and thought that she should have her own plan for herself. So like I said, she wasn't turned away because of the Affordable Care Act because of her diagnosis. But the recent November election brought, kind of scared her because she felt like with some of the politicians saying they wanted to, or some Republicans wanted to repeal the Affordable Care Act, she found herself possibly not having health insurance. So it was kind of difficult for her, but she then teamed up with two women to create this website called Faces of the ACA, which is Affordable Care Act. And this was a website they created to boost individuals' stories about testimonies of how the Affordable Care Act helped them. So many people actually like the Affordable Care Act. It feels like when we listen to the news, it feels like so many people don't like it, but there actually are a lot. In December, there was a survey from the Kaiser Family Foundation that found that 85% of the public supported the provisions to having adults stay on their parents' plan up to the age of 26. And then there was another 83% that support the elimination of out-of-pocket costs for people that don't have health insurance because of preventative services. And lastly, there was a 69% in favor of the provisions that ban insurance companies from denying people from coverage because of their pre-existing conditions. In that same poll, though, there was a 26% of the public wanted the law to be completely appealed or eliminated, and another 30% thought that they didn't want it fully appealed, but they want something changed in the law. So Molly Parker, she found that the Urban Institute, which is a public policy think tank, found that the Affordable Care Act would cause 30 million Americans to lose their insurance because of this repeal, or possible repeal of the Affordable Care Act. Of those newly insured, about 36,000 people would die of not having the health insurance that they need for their proper treatment. But there are many misconceptions to the Affordable Care Act law. So in October, our now President Donald Trump, when he was a candidate, he kind of was confused with the regulations and laws of the Affordable Care Act. He wanted to kind of strip the whole thing and kind of thought of it more as an insurance plan, and it's more to it than that. And another misconception is a lot of people think that there's going to be this really high increase in insurance plans for people. And so with that saying, I'm trying to prove to you guys that the appeal of the Affordable Care Act will negatively affect the United States. So my three issues are that the appeal of the Affordable Care Act will negatively affect the healthcare system. The second one is that it will hurt working or lower class citizens. And then lastly, it will affect the economy as a whole. So today there's about 28 million Americans that are uninsured. It's down from 40.3 million back in 2013. But this is primarily due to the creation of the Affordable Care Act. Louis Jacobson said that in the 2015 Congressional Budget Office that the non-partisan member country arm of Congress said that the number of Americans that will lose coverage or be able to get it at first would start at 19 million in the first year and then would increase to 24 million within a couple of years. He also stated that people that weren't able to obtain Medicaid with their coverage or whatever would be able to would be unable to afford health care because of the appeal of the possible law. So my next minor claim is that the repeal of the Affordable Care Act would hurt the lower and working class. If the repeal of the Affordable Care Act was to happen, it would actually help the rich and hurt the poor. Some Republicans, they don't want to pay for people that don't have the means to pay for their own health insurance. So they would like benefit because they wouldn't since they're so high, since they're the upper class, they're in that brackets, they wouldn't like really be affected. But people that need the health insurance and they don't have any money for it, and then paying out of pocket would like affect them bad. So with that, like taxing the rich households would like, it wouldn't really affect them that much. Like they're already so rich, it just wouldn't matter. There was the top 0.1% of households whose income is at least $3.7 million a year would receive a tax cut of about $197,000 in 2017, according to the Tax Policy Center. But meanwhile, there'd be millions of Americans that would see the cost of private and health insurance skyrocket because of the loss of the Affordable Care Act. The increased cost would range from $4,000 to $6,000 per family, depending on the income level. And then also, like abolishing, like or repealing the Affordable Care Act would give like big tax breaks to like the most privileged members of our society, which is like the top 1% upper class. My last minor claim is that the Affordable Care Act negatively affects the economy. So the Affordable Care Act touches everyone. Some people think like, oh, I don't have, income issues, I have great health insurance, but it still affects you because you never know the situation you can to be in, and you could be in that situation as someone else. So repealing the Affordable Care Act would increase Medicaid by spending of $102 billion over the next 10 years, according to the Nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office. And also, like Obamacare was set up, or Affordable Care Act, was set up to help people that don't have the means for health insurance. So lastly, I would just like to summarize by saying that the Affordable Care, or the repeal of the Affordable Care Act would negatively affect the United States because people that don't have the means to pay for health insurance, they would have to pay out of pocket, which would then mean that like the rich would just stay rich and never want to help anyone else. And secondly, that it would affect the economy because more people that don't have the access to health insurance would have to pay more and more money and would never kind of get out of their situation. So hopefully I proved to you guys today that the appeal of the Affordable Care Act would negatively affect the United States.
All right, Breelyn, the main issue that is problematic here is that your speech doesn't get to the proposition until 4 minutes in. So you've got a long setup here before you get to the argument that you're making. Once you've got there is a structure, but the evidence that you present after that opening section is almost all asserted. Everything in the opening section, which is all introduction stuff, you provide a lot of detail on where it came from and what it means, the examples, the public opinion surveys, that sort of thing. Once we get past that, and there's an argument about how much coverage there's going to be, with the cost issues especially, I think that's a little bit problematic. The notion that some people are going to lose their coverage, I think that's pretty good. But the question becomes, like for example, at one point there was 41 million people that you're talking about who didn't have coverage. They went down to 24 million, and then there was another statistic somewhere that talked about 28 million are going to lose their coverage. Well, that's more than the decrease in the amount of people who were not covered. So why is that happening? There's not really much explanation of that. I think that all of your argument about the economics of the tax cuts or tax breaks needs a heck of a lot more explanation here. The notion is that, how much is the Affordable Care Act costing us? Is that money being paid for? Is it being paid for, or is it able to pay for itself? Are people participating in the process the appropriate way? That's the big controversy on this issue. Everybody wants coverage. That's great, of course. I think that that's one of those things that people say, well, yeah, people should have coverage. The problem is paying for it, and that's the thing that's controversial about this, how it gets paid for. So I think there's some problems there. Like I said, we got to rush a little bit because everybody's got places to go and people to see. Thank you.